Canada is still very wild, far more than the U.S. because the North is just this giant expanse of land that is not tamed. And so I think that's the way to understand it. And that's why we have, that's why in Canada and in America, you have Bigfoot and Yeti and all of these monsters that are still part of the lore of our country, because that we have this massive unexplored wild land that will generate these types of stories just naturally. You can't avoid it. It'll just happen.
That brings me to probably the most important question of this interview right here. Does Bigfoot exist?
Let's say it this way. Bigfoot definitely exists as a monster. And it's like, I think it's difficult because people don't totally understand what the category of a monster is, right? The category of a monster is to be something which is undefined. So let's say I know this is hard for people to understand, but it's like, if you caught Bigfoot, it would no longer be Bigfoot.
It would just be a guy, a really hairy guy.
Or it would say, oh, well, Bigfoot doesn't exist. We actually did find a species of northern apes.
Right.
So there's no Bigfoot. It's just a species of northern apes that we thought
lost.
or whatever, right? So it's like this is the issue with the notion of a monster, is that once you catch it, then you tame it, and once you tame it, then it becomes. So this is the same thing with when we talk about the whale. It's like, oh, sea monsters don't exist. That's a whale. Oh, interesting, right? It's like, as soon as you capture it and name it, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, all those stories of sea monsters that the ancient mariners told, it was all in their imagination, right? No, it wasn't. Right. That's actually what the category of a monster is.
Yeah.
And so, the Bigfoot necessarily has to appear in have a certain structure. So Bigfoot has to be a half animal, half man, has to be hairy, has to be kind of ferocious. All of these things have to be part of the image of what Bigfoot is.
And he always has to be caught on like a really grainy
video. Yes, you never really see him. You see him, he's in the corner of your eye like all the monsters, right? Yeah. He's in that place where things are undefined. That's what a monster is. And so there's a coherence to Bigfoot. That means that Bigfoot has a type of existence, but it's not exactly the type of existence that you think. Right? It's the same for a dragon. It's like, what's a dragon? Well, a dragon is a mixture of a bunch of different animals. So it actually doesn't have an identity.
Yeah.
It's something that is a mixture of identity. So it's like, it is the undefined itself. So Bigfoot... Right. So I always say it almost exists.
Yeah,
right.
Is the best way to say it.
So Bigfoot is like the spiritual animal of North America.
Well, he's a monster. He's a North American monster. We don't have in Canada. We don't have the same type of we don't have the pucks and the little familiar monsters that exist in Europe, because we have the wild. We don't. The forests in England or France have nothing to do with the forests in northern Canada, or like even here, Western America. What do you think? Imagine the first European that sees redwoods.
Yeah.
I mean, they are in another planet. They are in a world of giants. Like, of course they are.
Yeah. Unless either of you two have anything more directly related to that.
I just wanted to briefly ask you about, you mentioned that Bigfoot is like the undefinable, right? And I'm wondering, like, how does this relate?
But it's important to understand. It's important to understand that these monsters that people encounter, they're not just in their imagination. They're actually encountering phenomena,
right?
Undefined phenomena, right? Something that I'm encountering, but I don't know what it is, and therefore, the undefined presents itself in a certain coherent way by being undefined. It's a hybrid. It's a mixture. It's unclear. That's what a hybrid is. Right. Hybrid is something that is not clear, doesn't have a clear identity.
Right, and to make something a clear identity is, in the biblical way of presenting it, would be to give it a name, right? And that's what Adam does. He names the animals. So I was wondering, like, it seems like part of our task as well, it is our task, made in the image of God, is to provide identity to a world which, independent of us, wouldn't have an identity, because nothing else in the world can name itself. Nothing can delimit itself as a specific hypostasis, you could even say, like a specific identity. I'm wondering, like, how should we relate to these monsters? There seems like intuitively there's like a danger about trying to capture them. So, and I know you've talked about this before, but like, how should we relate to the monsters? Is our task are we supposed to be able to categorize them, or is it like, until the eschaton, it's just something that needs to be something that just needs to be on the periphery, and there's something dangerous about trying to, by our own wills, to grasp it?
Are we supposed to invite Bigfoot to our cooking?
Yeah.
Right,
So
yeah,
basically,
yeah.
so in the God's Dog graphic novel that my brother and I wrote, which is in part about monsters, we say there are three kinds of monsters in the world. There's the kind you tame, there's the kind you kill, and there's the kind you leave alone. And those are the three things you do with monsters. What is happening?
That's Discord.
It's causing discord.
Yeah.
And so basically that's the idea, is that the unknown is the unknown. But then once the unknown presents itself to you, those are the three types of things that you could do to the unknown. Is that one is you tame it. That is, you basically enter it into the world of meaning and into the hierarchy of categories. The other thing that you sometimes have to do is kill it. And I know that sounds weird, but it's like, the unknown is dangerous to you. You know, sometimes you have to stop it because it can eat you. And so, if a sea monster is attacking you, like, it's now not the time to enter it into the category of ontological
Here's a tree.
structure. Exactly. It's like, well, let's look at I see that he has these characteristics. You know, let's write them down. No, you have to kill it, and that's a reality. You know, of the. I mean, when you say kill it, it's like you have to stop it, right? You know, and so if this is, and then the other one is you have to leave them alone. It's like if there's a monster that's too big, basically just let it be. Don't try to figure it out. Because if it's bigger than you, trying to figure it out might mean your own doom, you know. So yeah.